Alrighty. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Building LaraShoppe, episode 2. So just to give everybody who's new here a little bit of a recap, last week we kind of got started building our shop here. We installed Nova in a fresh Laravel project. We installed Tailwind. What else did we do? We started building our inventory model. And for those of you who don't know, we're building an online shop here. So we're hopefully going to be able to sell Laravel swag and related products, just as sort of a demonstration here. And so what I've kind of done is put together some to-dos, kind of keep me on track tonight. And also, if you all have any feedback about what looks good, what doesn't look good, we can kind of have a little bit of a discussion because it's kind of a group project. So if there are things I'm missing, and this isn't by any means the full-on fleshed out version of what we're going to do, but just to give us a little bit more structure as we're progressing through everything. And another thing before I forget, I noticed some folks had said that the audio was out of sync in the recording. I've been trying to fix that. I can't really figure out how with YouTube, but I just want to make sure. I hope it's coming through synced in the live stream itself. That's a slightly more important than the recording. I'm still working on fixing that. I played with a few settings today, so hopefully everything is coming through there all right. So if anybody would let me know if that's an issue for them, or if it continues to be an issue in the recording, I'm still going to try working on making that. Thanks, Rodrigo. I appreciate it. I'm still going to work on making the recording look a little sync up a little better. So I think it might have something to do with the YouTube settings, but we'll figure it out and kind of go from there. So all right. Let's get started tonight. So what we're going to do, first thing I want to do is continue working on our inventory backend. And last week we started with a model called inventory, which as I thought about it this week, really we should be calling product or products, just because they're the representation of what we're going to be selling through the store. So the first thing I want to do is rename the product and then finish out that model. So I think we're going to want to add a sold out status to it and then kind of go through it and see if anything else is missing. And just to get everybody up to speed with what we built last time, so we just kind of have our Nova site. We have our inventories resource here, which we worked on a little bit. So you can come in here and see a inventory, as we were calling it, but we're going to switch that to products now because I think that makes more sense. And we could come in here and edit things and add an image URL, which we're kind of faking right now, but that's okay. And then, go from there. So let's get the ball rolling here. So we'll hop into our trusty PHP Storm, and right now we're looking at the inventory model, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm actually going to, no, we don't have to worry about that just yet, so we'll just go ahead and here and rename it to product. It's going to take a second because we've used it in a few places here. Okay, so that got renamed. We'll rename the factory. Awesome. And I think that sometimes you gotta hop in here and make sure everything got updated. Okay, nice. Definitely run into some trouble with that in the past. So refactor, we'll call this products. This one, the migrations always throw me for a loop. So products table, we'll refactor. Yeah, so this is the one where we kind of have to come in here and do a little bit more work. So products. So we'll create that, make the plural. And as I was thinking about the structure of our application this week, this just kind of popped up in my head as something we might want to tweak a little bit. So let me, just because it makes a little more sense. So we'll refactor that. So it's taking a second. Be fine. Alrighty. So product, that makes sense. Scout, detail, relatable. That I don't think was exactly what we wanted. What happened there? Let's undo that. Oh, I misnamed. I picked the wrong one there. Okay, good thing we caught that. All right, we'll change that to product. Great. Ooh, that could have been bad news bears for us. So glad we caught that. Okay, that says product now. Product looks good. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and reset my database. Migrate fresh. I don't think we have any seeds yet, although we should set one up for the users table just because I don't want to have to keep creating a user every time. Fresh is a really great artisan add-on to migrations because that'll just drop your existing table as opposed to trying to undo all the migrations and then redo them. If we had tried to do like rollback or something like that, it would have failed because we renamed the migration, but because we're running fresh and it's dropping the database, we don't have to worry about that. And now I use fresh all the time now. That's kind of my go-to as well. So if we give this a refresh, we're actually going to get kicked out. So let's go ahead and create a user again, and I'll just use me, and we'll use my email and a really secure password. Awesome. And that's weird. I think what happened there is that it was saving the authentication session for my user. And so when I recreated the exact same user, I was able to log in, which I think only works in development. I hope it only works in development. So let's create another product here. So we've got, these are all my blog posts that get saved. So let's just say like Laravel socks. Yeah, nice. That's coming in. I hope that's the same photo. It'll be coming soon. We should have a sock and a really cool pair of socks. And if we create the product, awesome. So we can see we've got our socks in here now. We go into our database, which we're just using, what is it, SQL Pro, and we hop into products. We can see that everything is being created as we'd expect. So awesome. So now we've taken care of that rename. And so hopping back to our to-dos, what I want to do now is add that sold out status. And this is going to be important because we do want to keep track of sold out products. We want to make sure that we're not letting users interact with those or attempt to purchase those. So that's definitely something we're going to need to be paying attention to. So we'll go back to our model and excuse me here. So let's see. Active net. We'll just keep appending to the bottom here. So we'll say sold out. And that'll just be sold out. Nice. And we'll go ahead and add it to our statuses. Nice. And we'll just auto type that. Awesome. So I think that takes care of that. And now I'm trying to think, is there anything else we're going to want to add to our products? We're going to add some relationships to it, but we definitely want to create the other models before we go ahead and do that. Wondering what else, if I have anything on my list here. I don't think so. Anyone in the comments? Anything we're missing? Probably. I don't know. We'll definitely come back to it. We can always add to it, so I'm not terribly worried. So we'll go ahead and start creating our next model, which where to go? Which I'm debating between calling stock or inventory. I've got a few questions here we're gonna have to answer in a second, but I think we're gonna go ahead and call this stock. I mean, they're synonyms. Inventory might be a little cleaner. Let's go ahead with inventory. So let's see, PA make model. We'll call it inventory. So this is a more applicable use of that. And then we'll go ahead and throw on the alt tag there. So we create everything controller. Ah, that's really funny. I forgot to rename the controller. That's all right. We don't really need to worry about that too much, but we will duplicate it so we have a product controller. And this is just something I forgot to rename. I forgot we'd done that. Okay, so now if we go to that's our Nova product. Okay, so we're gonna go to inventory, which is our model. And let's just see. Let's see what we're doing over here. We're probably going to want to have I don't know if we need to have a status per se for each of our inventory items. What I'm thinking, and let's go back actually to those questions because I've been thinking about this a little bit. So one thing that I'm kind of curious and thinking about is how we're going to keep track of quantities. One approach that I've thought of would be to actually have like a quantity column on the inventory model itself. Let me fix that here. So we decided to go with inventory. So one approach would be to have a column on inventory itself and just kind of keep track of the quantity there, which is one way to do it. The other way to do it would be to have a separate entry, like a separate row for each available entity or inventory. And then what we would do is we would have a SKU on each of them, and that SKU, or what's called a stock keeping unit. I did a bit more research this week to wrap my head around that concept a little more. And what we do is we'd have a SKU for each of those inventories. And so if we wanted to see the quantity of items available, we would just say, we would just do a count of all these SKUs. And the way you set up a SKU is that it's unique to each permutation of the product. So for example, we wouldn't, if we were selling our socks, we wouldn't have a SKU just for socks. We would have a SKU for red large socks, for example. And that way we can get really granular with our analytics and our stock keeping. And in a much more professional inventory management sort of system, it's really useful for keeping track of like theft and cost per unit and price per unit, and actually like really keeping a handle on your inventory. We're not probably going to get that involved with this, but at a minimum, I would like to be able to kind of say like, okay, the red large socks are selling well, and maybe those cost a little bit more, so it would be nice versus like a small sock. So it would be nice to kind of have that detailed analytics there. So I'm thinking we'll probably go ahead and do a SKU. And I'm also thinking that we'll go ahead and actually just create an entity for each inventory model. And so we're going to have to do some logic there, but we'll write tests for it. And I think all in all, we should be in good shape here. Okay, so let's go ahead. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And start creating our model a little bit more. So we'll just kind of copy and paste this over. I do that a lot of copy paste. I think, yeah, gets the job done. Okay, so we won't need to necessarily have a type or status title. We should all be pulling this from their relationship. So they're going to be products will have a one-to-many relationship with inventory. So we will have like a product ID. That's where we'll get a lot of this information. What else are we going to want to do? Oh, okay, I had some attributes that I wanted to reference. So size, color, price, cost. Okay, those will all be good. So we'll do size, color, price, and then cost, and that just worked out nicely. And then what else? And then we'll do SKU as well. And we'll put that up here because it's pretty important. And I'll probably come back and remove some of these from the fillable, but that's just a way for me to kind of wrap my mind around it as we're getting started here. So, okay, so let's go back to our inventory table, and let's start creating stuff. So in the integer, we'll need an integer for the product ID, because that should not be a float or negative or anything like that. And then what else do we have here? I think we use text. Let me double check that. We use string. Okay, we'll keep using string then. Oh, kind of close out of some of these. So string, and let me flip my screen here just so we can see. So I've got that in PHP Storm. There's not a key command for that. It's a split screen, so I've got that mapped in my settings, which is pretty easy to do. And if you're interested, so string, and we'll go ahead and set a wrong file. So we'll set a SKU, and then size will also be a string. Color will be a string. Price, we'll call that a float, just to make sure we're keeping things honest here. And then cost will also be a float. I don't know if we can set the number of decimals or not. That would be an interesting thing to check. I haven't worked with floats in a while. So let's take a look here. Migrations and columns. Let's see here. float. Okay. Total digits and scale. Decimal digits. I want that to be... That's a... I wonder if I can pass null there or not. We'll say 8. How many? That'd be a lot. I don't think we're selling anything for that amount of money. So we'll say 8, and then we'll have the scale for decimal, and that'll be pretty good. Right? I'm trying to think. So what would that be? That would be 2 decimal numbers, and then 6. So that'd be like 10,000. I don't think we're selling anything for that amount of money. If you are, you can play with that in your own shop. But for now, we'll go ahead and leave that there. Okay, so we got float price, cost, awesome. So let's go ahead and migrate. Cool. And then in our inventory, we can go ahead and set up a relationship. So this is the product. You always have to return these. I forget to do that sometimes, and it always drives me crazy trying to figure it out. I think we can do belongs to, and then I can just say product class. Give it a semicolon there. Awesome. And then over in product, we can say this has many. It's not inventory. We call it items. I don't love that, but we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure this is also the way to set it up. We can double check. So that would be inventory, right? Let's see. I haven't worked in code all week, so I'm doing a lot of UX work. Where would this be? In database. It would be an eloquent relationships. One to many. So it has many. One to many inverse belongs to. Okay, we got it. Now you don't forget everything. So we'll call that items just for now. And then we need to set up the SKU here. So we'll actually copy some of what we were doing here for the UUID stuff. So this doesn't have a UUID, but it does have a SKU. So we're going to want to figure that out. So the SKU. And I think what we're going to want to do, this also has a slug. That's interesting. I forgot about the slug. I guess we don't need to worry about that for the moment, but we might come back to that. Okay, so for this, let's just start writing it inline. I'm actually going to extract this. So we'll say model. Generate SKU, and we'll have to pass the model just so we have all the details here. Let's put this down here. Ooh, that's wrong. There we go. Generate SKU. I wouldn't normally necessarily extract this this early, but I just think it's going to make our lives a little easier here. Okay, so what are we going to need to know here? I'm not sure if we can generate a or get the product, because we're going to want to use a lot of product information on this. At least that's my assumption here. But let's start with everything we're going with here first. So we're going to have the size. We're going to have the color. So those will be 2 important elements. So we'll start with that. We'll just return model size. And we'll actually put the color ahead of that. Model color. And how do we want to, I'm going to go with kebab case here, and we'll kind of run with that. So right now that'll be where our SKU is. And yeah, actually, you know what? We have the product ID, so we might as well run with that. Copy this. So we're going to have the product ID, the color, and the size. That's really all we need to know right now. Maybe we would do something funky with the price if we were testing out different price points for whatever reason. But that's probably a different, something way beyond the scope of this. Okay, so that looks good for me. And you know what? I'm probably going to want to add some sizes as constants. So I'll just grab one of these. I know sometimes instead of writing it from scratch, it's easier to copy it. So let's go with like extra small size. We'll say EX, no, not EX, XS, and then small. Medium, large, XL, and let's just go to XXL for now. We can always add more. And you know what? These are not consistent. There we go. Nice. So we've got our sizes. We'll go ahead and grab something like this. And since that's a public static, we'll put it there. So let's see here. We have our small. Cool. Now we actually have extra small. Medium. Large. A little tedious, but we're getting there. XL. Oop. And XXL. Nice. So now we've got our inventory kind of set up. And so let's go ahead and set up our factory for this, just so we can add some items here. So what do we go ahead and make that like that? So we're gonna need a product ID. So we'll go ahead and add this guy. And we'll just spin up product like that, and we'll return the ID. So that'll give us a product ID. I don't love that solution just because if we were going to like make a inventory item as opposed to create one, then we've created something in our database that's kind of not necessarily needs to be there. There's probably a way to get around that. I just haven't figured out. I know you could do something where like you can set the product ID to nullable, and then in like the after hook, or you can like say like on make or on create in your factory, and then you could probably specialize it there. I wish there was a way to do it inline. There probably is. I just don't know what it is yet. So let's go ahead and create the size now. And we'll just say that's an inventory. And we'll go with a medium. We'll keep it in the middle. And now that we're importing that, we can get rid of this guy. Color. So color is something that we could standardize with some constants. I just think there would probably be too many of them. So we'll kind of keep that open for now. And let's keep it really simple. We'll just say red. Price. Oh, that's another good point. I need to set some casts up in our model so that way those come through as floats. But we'll say that for our first price, it's going to be $5. Let's say we're really selling them well, so it's $1, so we got a nice profit margin there. And then I'm going to take the product ID and the SKU out of the fillable, just because we don't want people necessarily overriding that on a mass assignment. Maybe product ID will leave, but SKU can definitely come out. Okay, nice. Not that that matters. Actually, we're using Nova for the backend here, so Nova actually does not respect the fillable array yet, or at least that I've noticed. So you can pretty much edit anything as long as you have it defining your resource, which, you know, that's an interesting approach as well. So okay, so we don't have actually we have one item in our. Actually, let me clear this. This is a little small. Okay, nice. That's better. So we'll do factory, and we're just going to spin up our first inventory item. Great. I don't know if that can be capitalized or not. We'll see. Okay, great. So our SKU got generated the way we wanted it to. So now we can kind of parse it out and say, okay, so the SKU is the second product's red medium version, and we have one of them. And we'll probably put some sort of helper or a couple of helper classes on the whatchamacall product model, just so we can kind of have like that be a manager of the inventory relationship. Because I think in our front end, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of be displaying the products and then letting the user select the inventory items that are currently available. And if they don't exist, they won't be available. So that would be a good way to do that. Now I'm kind of wondering if we want to have it, if we want to have a status for like sold or available. I'm just wondering how intense we want to, we want to have this be. That's probably not a bad idea. So that way, in our records, we could have it. We could keep track of like if this item has been shipped or not. So like I could see the workflow being like, it could get really complex. We could have it be ordered. We could have it be arrived. We could have it be in stock. We could have it then be purchased and then shipped and then delivered and then received, or there's confirmation. Like you could make this really complicated if you wanted to. For us, if we need that complexity, let's add it in. But I think for right now, we're probably okay. We're probably over engineering, over optimizing, overthinking, which is something I do. I do it all the time. I'm a developer. I like to do it. So it's just something to be cognizant of if you find yourself going down that path. So we can see we've got our product and we've got our inventory as well. And this is a real nice Latin product that we're selling here. Nice. And okay, cool. So we got our inventory kind of set up. Let's go ahead and add it to Nova now. Because as we see in Nova, we probably don't have anything. We shouldn't have it. If we did have something, I'd be surprised. Yeah, because we haven't set up, we'll see the new product, but we haven't set up our inventory just yet. So we'll go ahead and make a resource. And that's just using the Nova command. And PA is my shorthand for PHP Artisan. So we'll go ahead and create inventory. And if you name your resource the same name as your model, Nova is smart enough to recognize that and create the relationship there for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So actually, we just give that a refresh because we created it. Now we can see it pop up right here, and it's already pulling the information. We haven't customized anything yet, but it's pulling that information. Actually, this will be fun. We're going to get to use some computed properties, I think. Nice. So let's see here. Computed Nova properties, not Vue.js. We'll get to that eventually. Okay, so that's just going to have to refresh, so I can force that. Ooh, synchronize. There we go. Inventory. Nice. So I have inventory. Interesting. So we don't have, I guess we'll say SKU will be what we want it to identify as. Actually, we will open that back up. Size, color. I don't really need any of that to be searchable. Let's go ahead and add it in, just for now, because we're not really searching on anything. And then nice. Okay, so now we can open up our Nova stuff. Not Nova, sorry. Our product Nova resource, just so I can grab some of these, make it a little easier. So we have our blanking here. So we have size, color, price, cost. So size is actually going to be select. So we'll grab that. And what we're doing here is we're defining the fields so we'll be able to update and create and see them on our Nova side of things. So this will be our color, and this will be inventory. I'm sorry, this will be size. Sizes, yeah, that I think is what we ended up calling it. I need to update this. I thought it wasn't getting the auto import, so I thought that was off. And then color will just be the text. So I'll throw that guy in there. These are all going to be required. And then I think there's a number field. Let me open that up. Oh, I think actually I can click to it from the here. Awesome. actually in the dashboard, we can go straight to the, oh, I wish those were target blanks. We'll open it up from here. Close out of that guy. Nice. So now we can go to our fields, and we can go to the number field, and okay, cool. So we can actually do a couple things here. We can define the step on the input, the min and the max. So really, really nice stuff here. We'll just go ahead and copy this guy. So that is going to be fine. We'll go ahead and make the, so this is too granular, but we'll import it just so we have it. And then the minimum, we'll make it $1. We don't want to sell anything for less than $1. We'll make the max, what did we say it was? 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I do that math? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's probably why. 8. So that's our, that'll be 100,000. Okay, cool. And then the step, we did probably want that to be closer to like 50 cents. Makes sense for me. Price, and then obviously you can override the step by typing in what's going on there. So we'll do cost. And then we do want to show the SKU, but we'll hide it from forms. So actually that's kind of how we're identifying everything. So I think we do hide. Only on index. Great. Let me see actually. Showing hiding fields. Hide when except on forms. That's what I wanted. Nice. I knew there was an option there, but now we got it. Okay, cool. So except on forms. So now if we go back to our inventory, we're gonna see a lot of things. Nice. So we've got our SKU, and let's actually, oh, where's our, okay, so we're gonna want to reverse size and color just so they match the SKU. And then we'll add in our relationship information, and I need to set the casts so those come through correctly. So let's go ahead and move this guy up, and that'll fix this. So that's consistent with how our SKU is. That's just, we don't have to do that, just something mentally that'll help me out. And then let's go back to our model here, inventory, and cast. And what we're going to do here is just define those so they come through as floats. So price. I think this will work. I haven't done this in a second, but that should take care of that. And our, okay, so that's not happening. Let me just check our database that they got saved. Yeah, so those have them. So let's see here. Field types. You would think this would happen. Showing hiding, field panels. Let me just go check that it's working in the, that's just coming through as $1. Maybe we do need to set it to 0.01. Maybe they were hinting that in the documentation there. Okay, that works. But theirs are coming through not the way I'd imagined. So let's try doing something like this. And we'll just update that. Okay, so now, let me go to Laravel and see what's going on here. So, attribute casting. So yeah, we should be able to cast it to a float. Did I set that up right? Yeah, cast, so that's float. So I would imagine that would be good. So let's try going to the old Google here. Oh, field. Boy, I have a tough time today. Float. And That's not exactly what we wanted. So fields, mutators, currency field. Oh, interesting. Oh, is there a field that I missed? No, that's the wrong one. Let's see here. Currency, maybe. Generate a number. Ah, see, this is nice. All right, let's try that and see if it'll fix our problem here. So let's say currency. And let's run back. See, they've thought of a lot of things here. Nice. Okay, that's fixing that issue there. Price, and I think we could change the. We could actually set the. Oh, what am I trying to say here? Like the currency symbol. That's what we're going for there. So if we save this format. Like $. I wonder if I broke it. No, nice. That comes through like that. So we could do it like that. We could update the label to be like $, which is a little more consistent with what I would expect. So let's see here. So for those can be uppercase, and we'll do it like this. Let's see if we get away with this. And that'll be cost. Okay, there we go. So now we got the nice $sign. If we decide to go to the edit though and update, everything looks like it's working, which is nice. So that's interesting. If you go 0, 0 like that, and that could just be because I updated it. Oh, so that's interesting. So if you're in here, it'll just show you the actual number, even though there should be a 0 on it, but when it's getting displayed, it takes care of it for you like it should, which that's fine for now. So let's go ahead and update this as well. Always good to know your units. So you can make it whatever you want. I'm just going to use US dollars, just because. And I wonder if our steps work too. Let's go check that out. I think they will. Yeah, nice. Because it's an underlying number field. They're just doing special processing on it. Great. So now we can go ahead and add our relationships. So on the fields here, let's see, relationships, nice. So it has one, real simple. Nice. So we can just grab this. Has one, and this will be a product. And you need to define your relationship on the model first. If we didn't have that, then it wouldn't know what to pull from. So I'll show you what happens there. So for example, so now that we've added it in, just give it a refresh here. It should show up here. Maybe it doesn't right now. No, I would expect it to. Import the right guy. Has one. Get rid of that. Has one's right. Maybe we get an example right here. So it belongs to. Okay, that's why. I did the wrong relationship. There we go. Real simple. So yeah, so a lot of the helpers here are pretty much the same. So like for example, here's belongs to. Should have caught that. And we'll just import that. Nice. So now we'll see it pop up. Nice. And so we see the product right here, which is super nice. And if you click on it, it'll take you directly to that product's details. And if we actually go to the inventory and we click on the view, you can see it when we do the inverse relationship, you'll actually get to see like all the inventory items associated with the product, which is really nice. So if we go to here, we'll do has many, and this will be make, and we'll say inventory. Nice. So now if we go to the products and we look at one that has a bunch of inventory, app product, oh, and that's because I defined it as items. I think we can do this. Let's see if I get away with that. Nice. And honestly, we can call it items. because that's a relation, as we defined it as a relationship. So let's see, if we go into our product here, we called it items just because it makes more sense than like saying inventories. Conceptually, at least to us as a user, maybe not in the code, but as a user, it makes a little more sense. So I think we can say items. So we do need to be specific there. Which that was weird. I wonder why that failed. Probably because it's looking for. I wonder if we can do this. Items. Weird. So I guess we'll call it inventory. Maybe that needs to be associated to the model. Okay. Nice. So now we can see everything. And if the nice thing is we can create the inventory here and it locks in the product for us. Whereas if we go to our inventories page, we can choose the product. And all of a sudden you say, okay, that makes sense for me. So all sorts of nice little features here. And yeah, in a nutshell, we've kind of finished our inventory system for the moment. So let's take a look at our to-do list and see if we need anything else. Size, color, price, cost, and yes, you could make this a lot more complicated. There's probably features I'm missing. If there's one that I'm really missing and it's going to be super important to us, shout it out in the chat or on Twitter. I'm at Nick J. Basile. But for the most part, I think we're going to kind of keep this as basic as possible, kind of get it to a launchable point, and then from there, we'll add features and functionality and kind of roll it out like that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is, as I'm doing this backend and using Nova for the most part, I'm not really adding any tests or doing it very TDD, just because I know that Nova has already been tested and is under test. So I don't like me creating TDD or tests rather for Nova doesn't really make sense because it should work as I'm expecting it to. And that just is a duplication of my effort and doesn't make a lot of sense to me. When we move to the front end and I'm going to start writing controller logic and things that are really going to start influencing our underlying models and data, then I'm going to start doing TDD and really focusing on what makes sense for us. So actually, as I say that, it looks like we're ready to start moving on to the front end. So let's kind of think here for a second about what our front end is going to look like. I wish I could draw. I could do it in Sketch, but that might take too long. I wish I could just kind of point my camera at some paper here. Excuse me. But we'll skip that for now. Essentially, try to think what we'll do. Right now we'll just do like a really simple index page and just kind of show all of our information, and then we can iterate on that and improve it. We'll add like a hero section, maybe with like featured products, so that would be something we want to check out. But for now, I think we can go ahead and just kind of keep it simple. Just kind of just throw up an index and see what we're working with here. So let's. Oh, that's the wrong button. So let's see here. So to set up our. So now we've got everything. We've got inventories. We've got migrations. So to start, what I'm going to want to do is set up our test configuration here. So we're going to go to PHP unit XML. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this use the SQLite database instead of touching our database, just to make things easier. I have a blog post about this because I forget how to do it every time. So it's more for me than for anybody else. Let's see here. Where would we go? How to write a plugin, building a blog. I'm sure it would be there. How to test traits. I think it's under this configuration one. We'll start there. Write blog posts for yourself, and that way you can check it, which I guess is more important than anybody else. Okay, so we're going to just do it like this. These are the files I wanted. So the DB connection, just make sure that's good, and then we're just telling it to use an in-memory database, so we don't run into anything wonky there. And then where's our test folder? Nice. I haven't written tests in the latest version of Laravel. I don't think anything's really changed. So I think we'll be okay. Let me just run to testing just to make sure I'm not missing anything. So we're gonna have the intro here, environment, that should be good. Creating running tests. We're just gonna do feature tests. I don't think we need any unit tests for the moment. And okay, we'll kind of run from that. So now we're moving to the front end. That's why I want to start adding some tests. So make test, and we'll call this product test. We get really specific with the naming. I like to keep them a little more general, but that's just me. So product test extends test case, refresh the database. So we're going to use that, refresh database. That's new. And, oh, how do I do that? There's something I want to do here to make it testable. I think it's defined like that. Let me check. I have that other blog post open. I think I talked about it there. Let's see. See, again, you just gotta, yeah, there we go. So make sure you have refresh database imported and you're using it, and then also make sure that you're saying test here. And the reason I say I use the comment as opposed to, so for example, if you named it here using the camel case and had test in the name, you don't need the comment. I like to be a little more descriptive with my test names. So I don't like having tests in the name. I'm kind of redundant when I'm running tests, so you need to include the comment so it knows. So what's our first test going to be? So we're going to say we can let's just start simple. So we can fetch all of the products. Just simple stuff. And that's going to fail. Well, it's gonna pass because we're saying it's like that. So what would I imagine happening here? So we'd probably hit an endpoint, and in our case, it's going to be the home endpoint, and we'd imagine that all the products would be there. So let's, not there. So let's kind of go into here. That'll be an HTTP test. So yeah, so exactly. So we'll say we're going to get this route, which will be home, and we assert that we get 200. That's not the worst in the world. What else can we assert here? I'm just kind of going through this to refresh my own memory, but also I think it's just nice to kind of show folks who maybe don't know all of this is here and available for them, that they have access to it. So here are all the assertions. What else are we going to say? So yeah, so we're going to we're not going to do it with Ajax, or we're not going to build an API for this yet. We're kind of do everything with Blade and Vue. Blade and Views, not Vue.js. We'll get to Vue.js later, but for now we'll keep it simple. So we'll say that the view is, that would be a nice assertion. So let's see here. So we'll assert the view. Is, what are we going to call this? We're kind of thinking ahead. We'll just call it products. Should really be welcome, but that'll fail on us. And then we'll assert that it has products. So this is kind of saying it's going to have everything that we want. I'm just going to make sure that that makes sense. Value, and we'll just say has all. I don't want to do a real assertion against it just yet. So we'll just say it has all products. Expected array got string. Is that how that's supposed to work? Oh, okay. So we'll just say products get to array. Well, we're just saying it has all the products here. Nope. And we'll call that product, which is what we want. And we want to import the model, not the Nova resource. And so if we run this, so how do I run my tests here? And it failed. And that's because the view that we were expecting was welcome. So actually we'll default to that because I think that will make things a little easier. And that technically was successful. I'm not sure why. Not entirely sure why. Let's see. See, this is the fun part of testing, is when things start working and passing and they shouldn't be. And so that's something you really need to be careful about, because you can really think that a lot of things are going right, but in actuality, no, it's not what you would be expecting. So let's see here. Let's make it a little bit more sort of text driven here. So we did expect to see the we'll just say first, and then we'd say the title, and I think that'll fail for us. Nice. Nope, trying to get title, not object. Ooh, what's going on here? Okay. You know, is DD within here? No. That's weird, because we have products. Oh, because it's in our C. Aha. So I forgot that we need to fake our data a little bit, which is classic sort of testing. So okay, so that will pass because we don't have any products created. So if we go ahead in our factory and we say app, we don't even have to. We just say product class. Great. And now we should see this fail. Yes, because it's missing our product here. Nice. So that's kind of 101. We need to build up our world before we start making assertions on it. Cool. So maybe that actually will help our other previous tests. So let's try that, because I liked what that was trying to do. So session has all, or view has all, and we'll say get to array. Okay, so null matches what should have been 1. Nice. Very nice. So now we're really cooking gas. Okay, so now that we have a test, we can start developing all of our code around it. So we're getting welcome here, and you can be as granular or as vague as you want to be. That's kind of, testing is really up to you. Everyone has an opinion, but at the end of the day, it's really up to you. So we've got our welcome controller up here. I'm actually going to refactor this to the products controller. So we'll say, that's a good thing we added it. So product controller. I always mix that up. If you guys have a better way of saying things, that's good for you. Let's see here. And we'll again return the view. And the nice thing is we're under test here, so we know that this should work. So if we run this, we don't have the first assertion in our test failing. So if we got rid of that and ran it, all of a sudden the response is not a view. So that's the advantage of testing here, is we can do refactors and implementations and features and be confident that we're getting what we expect. So here we'll go ahead and just call products equals product get, and we'll filter this out. We obviously don't want to throw down all the products, and we'll just compact that products. Nice, and that should give us a passing test, and it's filtering that null match is expected. And I was just wondering about this, if I did this correctly. So array data, let's say, we'll say that view has. I think that's a better assertion for us. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this just to see if it'll fail for us like it should. So let's see. I can close that. Got a couple of too many tabs open. So view has, and we'll call this products, and then this will be the value. It'll be an array. So nothing should be working here. Null does not match type array. So that's kind of weird, but let's see here. Oh, it's probably because we're not even passing it down. So if we go to the product controller and we start throwing this guy in here, then it's still not working. Oh, because it's an object. So what we can get rid of here is that to array, because that should match. Nice. and we're matching here. We've got our 2 assertions, our test is passing, and we're getting the products on the page exactly as we expected them, which is awesome. So that's kind of the advantage of TDD and why we want to do it. So this has been pretty quick. So now what we're going to want to do is add some sort of scope or manually kind of weed out some of the products that we wouldn't want to necessarily be showing to our users. So for example, if we go to our product and we look at our statuses, we probably don't want to show inactive or archived products. We do want to show, however, active or coming soon or sold out products, just to kind of entice users into buying active ones, kind of get them excited about coming soon ones, and then show them that no, they're not crazy. We did have that product at one point. We're just sold out. Come back in a little bit, and we'll hopefully have some more for you. So what we'll do for that is we'll add a scope. And I think we can do it like this. So we'll just do public function, and we'll just say like available. I think we just say it like that. Available scope. And then we could pass, I think we passed the query. Before I do this incorrectly, let's go to the documentation. And here's like, like I've been doing this for a few years now, and I've written tons of scopes. So we want to apply. Oh, okay. And always feel comfortable going in and checking the documentation. Make sure you're doing it right, and then the way you want to be doing it here. So let's see here. Local scopes, that's what we want. Okay, so I had it backwards. So that's a good example. So scope available. And then we do pass through the query. Sorry, I was kind of looking there. So we're going to want to return. What are we looking for here? We're looking for where the status is equal to active status, so we can kind of say that for sure. I wonder if we do or, I guess we do and. I don't remember if there's an and where. I know there's or where. Let's check here. I guess where would be the and statement. So where status is self, where status is coming soon, and then where status is sold out. And again, this is the nice part of using those constants, so that way you can kind of always be making sure you're using the correct scope and process here. So we'll go up to our index here, and we'll just say available. That's the nice part of scope, so you can just really easily chain them on to your queries, and that should still pass. Like we wouldn't expect. Oh, it didn't. And I think that's because in our inventory, our product factory, we're saying that this. In our migration, we're saying the default status is inactive, so we don't accidentally publish a product off the bat. So if we update our product factory, our test here, and we'll just say the status is equal to product active, not archived, but again, another good usage of our constant here. And then shouldn't be or where because you want to get all three, possibly. I definitely, most likely, I'm kind of doing this a little too quickly here. And yeah, so that's probably why this is failing here. Where are we here? Okay. Thank you for calling me out. I don't know if we can do the or where status like this. We'll give it a try. Let's see how we do. So the response is not a view now, which is interesting, because we definitely would expect that. Kind of jumping around to too many places. So let's get rid of some things. Product controller. Let's just DD the products and make sure we're getting those as we expect. Response not a view. I wonder why that's failing. I know we're coming up on the hour here, so we'll kind of wrap this up and then call it a day. So for status, and we're getting the home page. So we're asserting it's welcome. Let's see. We'll call this products. I'll just DD that to get a feel for what we're actually building here. So that's right. Status is active. That's exactly what we'd want. And I wonder what's going on with our response. Let's see. That looks like a view to me. Let's just get rid of that guy. Response is not a view. But in controller, we're doing this. Something here is not gelling, which is a little frustrating. This is why I think people get frustrated with tests where you have something that should be making a lot of sense, but it's not. And so that's definitely something I've run into and get frustrated with. Did I write it in the right scope? That's the question. That could be part of what's going on here. So inventory, that looks right. So we wrote the product. Okay, we wrote that in the right spot. Scope available. So let's just get rid of those for a second here, just for a little sanity check. And say, see if this is back to green. So that is fine. So add available. Okay, that's passing. And so if this was commented out for whatever reason, it should fail because we wouldn't have the correct number. Okay, good. Okay, so we're back on track a little bit here. So we'll scope this to available just to make sure that's going to pass. Okay, so the issue is in our query, which might have just been from those or status. So I'm going to actually take this out and put it here just for consistency, because I think that's more useful than oops, do it like that. Awesome. So now we can say or where, and we'll just copy everything in here, and we'll say that's going to be coming soon, and then we'll say this is going to be sold out. Nice. So let's try that. Okay, that passes. And so if we, just for a little sanity check, put that back to the inactives, that's because it's the fault in the migration, which you get a fail. Ooh, hate to see that happen. So what's going on here? That's why you do the sanity check, because it might in your head be working, but in reality, something's up. So let's go to array. So that's coming in empty, which makes sense. Oh, it's because we scoped. So wait. So that would pass because it was getting empty. That's why. Because it would be null in the first place. Okay. So we'd expect, so for example, if we have two of them, we might be able to do a little better assertion here. So we'll create two, and one will be like that. So let's do this. We'll say this is products. And so then we can pass this here. So we can check that product is still coming through. And then we can say this, assert count. I wonder, yeah, assert count. I forget the order here, so we'll do the haystack, it looks like, so that'll be the products. And then we'll say that should be, oh, I had that backwards. So it should be 1, expect to count, and then 1. Okay, so this is a slightly better test for us. And we're DDing in the controller still, which is fine, but we saw 1 there, So that would hopefully mean that our test is passing. Nice. Okay, so that's a much better test, just for our sort of sanity here. And for example, if we did the get and we got 2, then it would fail because we should only be expecting 1. So nice. Yeah, I think or where status, I don't think that exists. Or if it does, I didn't do it right, which is okay. Cool. So this is how we can kind of go through the process and say, okay, here are all the various permutations. Some folks might change this to be a more like a separate test in and of itself. You could have it be one test, because when you're fetching like this, we could do like fetch available products, which might make more sense as its own test, and then kind of have like access products page would be one test. So making sure that we're getting the welcome view in one, and then in the next one seeing that, okay, we have the various permutations of our product and we're only fetching the ones that we'd expect. That could be its own test. Really comes down to you and your personal preference here. But that being said, it is sadly our hour is up. I had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys had a lot of fun as well and learned some things. Let me know in the comments or on Twitter at Nick J. Basile if you guys have any questions, or if you want me to review something in a little more depth, or I missed something. Obviously, I make mistakes all the time, and that's fine. I think that's just kind of the reality of the job and the profession here. So yeah, that all being said, I hope you have a wonderful night. It was really fun doing this for everybody, and we'll see you next week at 6 p.m. CST, and we'll keep going with this. Have a good night.